chapter 68. For the leader, a psalm of David, a song. Let God arise, let his enemies be scattered, and let them that hate him flee before him. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away. As wax melteth before the fire, so let the wicked perish at the presence of God. But let the righteous be glad, let them exult before God, yes, let them rejoice with gladness. Sing unto God, sing praises to his name. Extol him that rideth upon the skies, whose name is the Lord, and exalt you before him. A father of the fatherless, a judge of the widows, is God in his holy habitation. God maketh the solitary to dwell in a house. He bringeth out the prisoners into prosperity. The rebellious dwell but in a parched land. O God, when you wentest forth before your people, when you did march through the wilderness, Selah. The earth trembled, the heavens also dropped at the presence of God. Even yon Sinai trembled at the presence of God, the God of Israel. A bounteous rain did you pour down, O God. When your inheritance was weary, you did confirm it. Your flock settled therein. You did prepare your goodness for the poor, O God. The Lord gives the word. The women that proclaim the tidings are a great host. Kings of armies flee, they flee, and she that tarries at home divides the spoil. When you lie among the sheepfolds, the wings of the dove are covered with silver, and her pinions with the shimmer of gold. When the Almighty scatters kings therein, it snows in Zalmon. A mountain of God is the mountain of Bashan. A mountain of peaks is the mountain of Bashan. Why look you askance, you mountains of peaks, at the mountain which God hath desired for his abode? Yes, the Lord will dwell therein forever. The chariots of God are myriads, even thousands upon thousands. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in holiness. You have ascended on high. You have led captivity captive. You have received gifts among men, yes, among the rebellious also, that the Lord God might dwell there. Blessed be the Lord, day by day. He beareth our burden, even the God who is our salvation. Selah. God is unto us a God of deliverances, and unto God the Lord belong the issues of death. Surely God will smite through the head of his enemies, the hairy scalp of him that goeth about in his guiltiness. The Lord said, I will bring back from Bashan, I will bring them back from the depths of the sea, that your foot may wade through blood, that the tongue of your dogs may have its portion from your enemies. They see your goings, O God, even the goings of my God, my King in holiness. The singers go before, the minstrels follow after, in the midst of damsels playing upon timbrels. Bless you, God, in full assemblies, even the Lord, you that are from the fountain of Israel. There is Benjamin, the youngest, ruling them, the princes of Judah their council, the princes of Zebulun, the princes of Naphtali. Your God hath commanded your strength. Be strong, O God, you have wrought for us. Out of your temple at Jerusalem, whither kings shall bring presents unto you. Rebuke the wild beast of the reeds, the multitude of the bulls, with the calves of the peoples, every one submitting himself with pieces of silver. He hath scattered the peoples that delight in war. Nobles shall come out of Egypt. Ethiopia shall hasten to stretch out her hands unto God. Sing unto God, you kingdoms of the earth. O sing praises unto the Lord. Selah. To him that rideth upon the heavens of heavens, which are of old, lo, he utters his voice, a mighty voice. Ascribe you strength unto God. His majesty is over Israel, and his strength is in the skies. Awful is God out of your holy places, the God of Israel. He gives strength and power unto the people. Blessed be God. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Once again, this is for the leader. We know who the leader is by now. The leader's God. He goes out first before them all. A psalm of David. This is a song uh, of David. David is the beloved. David is the, I call him the chosen one. We're going to pick it up here in verse 2. Let God arise. Let his enemies be scattered, and let them that hate him flee before him. Let God rise up. Let's lift God up. Let God be exalted. And we'll find out it's through his understanding, it's through his knowledge, through his wisdom that he stands up. And standing up is that he is going to take charge. Let his enemies be scattered. Let them run. Let them flee from him. We're going to find out who the enemies are. The enemies are just simply those that won't observe God's understanding and won't observe God's knowledge and wisdom. Let them flee. Let them flee before him. Those that hate him, and simply to hate God is to not want God to be in charge, not want God to be the leader, not want God to have control of the understanding of men. We're going to find out God does have control anyway, whether we want it or not. It's always going to be there. 3. As smoke is driven away, so drive them away. As wax melted before the fire, so let the wicked perish at the presence of God. Just like smoke, and the wind blows. It depends on how hard the wind blows, of how fast it will be driven away. Because the smoke is just that's what's left. That's the evidence coming off of that which was consumed. And it goes up, and it scatters out, and it's known no more. Just like this wax that melts away before the fire. The wax protects the wick, but when the wick is consumed, the heat from the fire melts away the wax and exposes the wick so it can be consumed. And just like this is what the presence of God does. This is what the authority of God does. This is what happens when you choose to do the right thing continually. And this evilness will tend to flee from you. 4. But let the righteous be glad. Let them exult before God. Yet, yes, let them rejoice with gladness. Let the righteous, that's the just, that's the tzedak, be glad. Let them be happy. That's because they've stayed in the law. They've stayed righteous before God. That's what righteous is and just is, to be in observance with the law of God. Let them exult before God. Let them be lifted up. Let them stand up. And do justly, do righteousness in the earth. Let them rejoice with gladness. Let them be happy and sing of the goodness of God. 5. Sing unto God. Sing praises to his name. Sing praises to Hashem. Sing praises to his name. We don't sing praises in somebody else's name. God said, don't do that. That would be wrong. We'll find out God is the God of salvation. God is God. There is no other. 6. A father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows is God in his holy habitation. A father of the fatherless. He is the protector of those that aren't protected. He is the instructor of those who are not instructed. He is the teacher of those who are not taught. See, that's the father of the fatherless. These that have been without, these that don't have an instructor, these that don't have that masculine figure in their life. Well, God is that masculine. God is the strength. He's the power. He's the might. A judge of the widows. The widows are those that are left without a husband. Those are left without a tender, somebody who will watch over. And understanding's what it is. They no longer have theirs. And he's the judge. We'll find out over them. He is trying to turn them, bring them in the way. And that's the way God is in his holy habitation. That's the place where God dwells. It's in the law. It's in the law. It's in the understanding of God's law. He made way for the fatherless. He made way for the widow. Unlike the other not of gods. The other not of gods always want something from you. They don't give, we'll find out, the power. The power. Power is given to the people. 7. God makes the solitary to dwell in house. He brings out the prisoners into prosperity. The rebellious dwell but in a parched land. God makes the solitary to dwell in a house. That's alone. God does it. Actually, that's what it should say. God alone does these things. He causes them to dwell in a house. Their abode. He puts them in their place. God assigns you a place. He causes you to live there. Even these prisoners, these are the ones that are held in prisons. They're still being held in prisons today. But God brings them out into prosperity. See, God does that. God's the one that locked you up there in your understanding. God locked you up there because of your transgression, because of that your understanding that's against God's knowledge, His wisdom. But God can bring you out. And the rebellious, that's who we're talking about. They dwell. God causes them to live. But it's in a parched land. It's in a land of drought that doesn't have the water, the understanding. It's all really pretty simple when we think about it. God makes an example. God makes examples. He divides the flesh up. He gives each one their position, each one their place, and He says, this is where you'll stay. 8. O God, when you went forth before your people, when you did march through the wilderness, Selah, when you went before your people, this is a period of time when God was constantly before you. We knew God. We seen the confusion of God was in the earth. The judgment of God was in the earth. These were obvious things. We could witness them and still can. There's nothing changed. You did march before your people. That's God's going before you. See, God's going before the righteous, the just. God's going to cleaning the place up, we could say. 9, the earth trembled. The heavens also dropped at the presence of God. Even yon Sinai trembled at the presence of God, the God of Israel. The earth trembled. All flesh did tremble, all the earth. The heavens also dropped down at the presence of God. All understanding was coming down because, see, God was going before. God was there before. Even yon Sinai, the mountains, Mount Sinai, that's that thorny place. That's the place of thorns. That's bushes. That's where the judgment of God dwelt. Even that presence of God. That's Elohim. And that's the might, the mighty one, the strength, all power, even the God of Israel, the might of Israel. 10. A bounteous rain did you pour down, O God, when your inheritance was weary, you did confirm it. A bounteous rain, plenty of water coming down. We'll find out. God did that. You poured it down, Lord. God causes it to rain. God causes it to rain, and when it rains on the just and the unjust. Well, it's seen as two different things. The unjust see it as nothing but trouble, and the just have welcomed it, because that's what it takes, the understanding and knowledge, to cause everything to grow. Your inheritance, when your inheritance was weary, you did confirm it. God established it. We'll find out when it seemed to be exhausted, when it seemed to have come to its limits, when it seemed to have come to its end. We'll find out God was just getting started. 11. Your flock settled therein. You did prepare in your goodness for the poor, O God. God's flock settled therein. Remember, I told you we was going to add to that flock. When they settled therein, that's when God caused them to dwell in that land, that inheritance that He promised Abraham to his seed. And He prepared the goodness for the poor. Even in His law, God did prepare for the poor. God looks out for those that nobody else is going to look out for. See, God did that with His ordinances, with His statutes. He made a way for those that have little, those that don't have much. 12. The Lord gives the word. The women that proclaim the tidings are a great host. The Lord gives the word. That's where the word comes from, God. These women that proclaim the tidings, they're a great host. A woman is that from man. It's the beauty, it's the pleasantness, it's and those understandings that come from man. They proclaim those tidings, that good news, that news, or those that I believe the King James Version says, great was the company of those that published it. Published it. And this word is basar. Basar. And it's to bear the news, to preach, to show forth, would probably be the better look at it here. To show forth those that are the examples that are being made in the earth. 13. Kings of armies flee, they flee, and she that tarries at home divides the spoil. Kings of armies flee. Not just the armies, the kings with them. We'll find out. These are those that don't understand that God rules. This is God's house. God created the earth, the heavens, and all things therein, and God rules there. Even here, God does rule. They flee. They flee just like grasshoppers from the fire. They flee. And she that tarries at home divides the spoil. These are those that don't. God didn't need them. He told them just stay back at the house, and you'll get your percentage. So you get your percentage anyway. They divide the spoil. They get their portion of the spoil. Wasn't needed in the battle. God says, I don't need you in this one. Just stay back, because I'm going to do most of the fighting here. 14. When you lie among the sheepfolds, the wings of the doves are covered with silver, and her pinions with the shimmer of gold. These wings of the dove, even the borders of peace, are covered with this silver, and that's an outline. See, the wings are the borders, or that which is spread forth or spread out that covers the wing. They have an edging of silver. That silver is that which is passed through the fire. These borders of silver. Her pinions are with the shimmer of gold. Her pinions are her claws, her toes. They are the shimmer of gold, and these are the things they hold on with. These are what they grasp. They have this shimmer of gold, because that's what they're grasping. It's the law of God. It's His understanding. It's His knowledge. And when the Almighty scatters, 15, and when the Almighty scatters kings therein, it snows in Zalmon. When the Almighty scatters kings, these rulers of all the earth, these rulers, these ones that men have lifted up, these are the ones. God's going to be the king. It's really a very simple set. God said, I'm going to be your king. And that's exactly what it boils down to. God means it in the greatest of mercy. It snows in Zalmon. Zalmon is the place of shadows. It's the place of where the light's not getting to. But when it snows there's going to be, the purity touches it. The snow is that white. It's made white. It's gone from that dark shade to the white, and the light is reflected into it. 16, a mountain of God is the mountain of Bashan. A mountain of peaks is the mountain of Bashan. The mountain of God, this mountain of God is that high place, that place that's lifted up, is a mountain of Bashan. Bashan means to be fruitful. God's mountain's a fruitful place. God's high place is a fruitful place. Actually, it's the place of the good fruit, not the bad fruit. There's a difference. This mountain of peaks is the mountain of Bashan, and the mountain of Bashan has many peaks. That means there's more than one high place, but we'll find out there's one that's higher than all the rest. There's always one higher than all the rest. One has to be higher. That's God. That's God's peak. That's God's thing. None else can reach that place, because we'll find out. God established it. God established it for Himself. 17. Why look you askance, you mountains of peaks, at the mountain which God hath desired for His abode? Yes, the Lord will dwell there forever. Why look you askance? Why look you at it like it's yours, like it belongs to you? King James Version says, why leap? The word is ratzad, and it's to watch stealthily or with envy, hostility. Watch with enmity. Watch with envy. You desire it for yourself is what it really means, ratzad. Like you're going to get it somehow. These other peaks, these other things that have lifted up, these other ones that are exalted. God did that in the beginning, remember? I give all the other nations. They're not gods. But I said to you, I am your God, and I am your God. You shall not have no other before me. So what's the use in thinking you're going to get that high spot? What's the use in thinking you're going to get it? God established it from the beginning. It belongs to God. He's going to dwell there forever. 18. The chariots of God are myriads, even thousands upon thousands. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in holiness. The chariots of God are myriads. The chariots are, we can relate chariot as two different things. A chariot is like the judgment of God coming down. This chariot we can look at as like a war machine against those that make war against God, against those that hate God, against those that come against God. They want to exalt themselves, thinking somehow they're going to take over what belongs to God. That's the judgment seat. That's the judgment seat. It belongs to God. But God's chariots are myriads. There's no numbering to them. There's no counting them. If we got all the chariots of the earth together, they would look like a drop of water in a bucket or in the ocean of water compared to God's chariots, His armies, His ways to do battle against men. Thousands upon thousands. That's thousands upon thousands without number. The Lord is among them. He is in there, within it, see, fighting, as in Sinai, in holiness. Holiness and He's sanctified, set aside. You can't. That means you can't touch God. He's like hallowed, sanctified. We'll find out the wickedness flees from His presence. His presence is righteousness, as it was in Sinai. That's that thorny place. That's that place of thorns. We call them, that's the place of the heathen. That's what they were. God says they're going to be like thorns in your side. The comparative was used there. They like these thorns, these thorn bushes. We found it out when we come through there. That's what they are. 19. You have ascended on high. You have led captivity captive. You have received gifts among men. Yes, among the rebellious also, that the Lord God might dwell there. You have ascended on high. God's done been exalted. He's done He made that clear from the beginning. He has led captivity captive. He's the king. I mean, those that take captive, God leads. God says, you go here, you go there. God controls all that. It's all that power belongs to God. It don't belong to anybody else. They can say, oh, we're going to free you from captivity, and they just go from the fire into the pan, or from the pan into the fire, right into the pot. It doesn't matter however you want to look at it. You're just going from bad to worse. God's received His gifts. We'll find out. God's received it. And it's going to make atonement. See, it's going to make atonement for all of it, because God is relentless. God is always steady about His will. 20. Blessed be the Lord, day by day. He bears our burden, even the God who is our salvation. Selah. Blessed be the Lord. Blessed be God, because day by day, understanding after understanding, day by day, period by period, generation after generation, He bears our burden. He takes it up. God does. God bears. See, God bears your burden. God's got it. God's got it. When you turn to God and you repent unto God and you observe God's understanding, His knowledge, He says, I've got it. I'll take your load. I've got your load. See, God can handle it. He's our salvation. He's the one that saved us when we got exhausted, when we couldn't pack it no further, when we was getting ready to fall down, the load was too much. God said, I got you. I got you. He's the strong one. He's the might. He's the power. Always ready to help you. 21. God is unto us a God of deliverances, and unto God the Lord belong the issues of death. God, unto us, He's a God of deliverances. The Elohim, He's the might, He's the power, He's the strength. He's the one who delivered you there. He delivers you from there. God delivers. He delivers. He can deliver. God says, I am the God of deliverance. There is no other. And God, unto God the Lord, belongs these issues of death. These issues here, these things that concern, these things that we're talking about, the issues of death. Death is the place of sin. This borders. The word is totsah, and it's the extremities, the ends, the source, the even escape, the outgoing, where the borders are. We can kind of God controls the gates of death. God decides who's going to die, who's not going to die. God decides. Why? Because, see, God knows who you are. God knows what your inward thoughts are. No matter what you think or what you do, God's got you. He's got you right where He wants you. Somewhere in your turn. 22. Surely God will smite through the head of His enemies, the hairy scalp of him that goes about in his guiltiness. Surely God smites through the head. That's the rulership. The head's that which is over it. It instructs. It does this. It does that. It's the understanding. See, that's the head of His enemies. Those that are against God, that's understanding, that knowledge, that's against God's understanding. It's against God's wisdom. They'd even say, well, God's wisdom's no good. It can't do nothing. Who can obtain to God's knowledge? Who can obey the law? Everybody can. It's a very simple thing. First, it starts with some free will. You got to want it. Basically, it just lies within. 23. The Lord said, I will bring back from Bashan. I will bring them back from the depths of the sea. The Lord had said, I will bring them back from Bashan, that fruitful place. We'll find out. That's the place where you go, you think there's much fruit, but God says you got to be careful what fruit you take of. These things that are sweet, these things that are nourished, that come from the tree, because some of them, God said you're not supposed to take of. Oh, they taste good, but they're poison to your belly. See, they're poison to your belly. God said don't eat that. Be careful what you eat. Be careful what you partake of. But God's going to bring you back from these depths of the sea. The seas, the understandings, these waters, they're salted. They're in the stage of purification. To bring you back from there would be to purify you, to make you pure again. See, that's what it means. God brings you back from that place. He caused you to dwell there, and then He brings you back. It's for your own good. It's just like getting some understanding from a mistake you made. See, you try not to make that again. We tell ourselves, don't do that. I mean, how many times you going to make the same mistake over and over and over and over, and not give yourself some instruction? God instructs everybody. But it's those that continue in that sin, continue in it. That's the hairy scalp of them that goeth about in his guiltiness. They know they're doing wrong, but they don't care. At least they think they don't. 25. They see your goings, O God, even the goings of my God, my King, in holiness. They see your goings, O God, even the goings of my God. He's my King. Uh, we're going to use this like a similitude here. This the way that the king used to go about, the way the king went forth. This is how he went forth, and these are kind of like the goings forth of God, the way God goes forth in the earth. He's surrounded by all the evidence you need. He's surrounded by this. It goes about him outside of his understanding. We'll see the singers go before. These that are singing before God, these that are rejoicing because of what God's done for them. The minstrels, those are those that are playing the instruments, twanging sounds, calling to remembrance God's mercy. And they follow after them. In the midst of the damsels, playing upon timbrels. Those timbrels, those shakings, those fears, these damsels. And they're playing, they're singing, they're dancing, all rejoicing before God with understanding, see, with knowledge, even wherever they're at, whatever one they are, the singer, the minstrel, or the damsel. 27. Bless you, God, in full assemblies, even the Lord, you that are from the fountain of Israel. Bless you, God, in full assemblies. And this is what they do today. It's all to make God known. It all somehow blesses God. It all somehow points and says, He's God. He did that. God's got you where He wants you. These that come from the fountain of Israel. Israel's those that contend with the mighty one. They fought against the strength of God. They fought against God's understanding, His might. See, they was dispersed in all the earth. They're scattered out. They didn't stay with their brother and hold to the understandings of God. No, they had to make their own altar. They had to raise up their own king, so to speak. We could look at it that way. That's what they did. We got the book. It's listed. The separation came with Rehoboam and Jeroboam, and we have that great example documented. We can tell the story, and we can make and see if these in any way they relate to where we're at today. How does it all fit together? How does it all fit in? See, God carries the knowledge. He carries the understanding. He keeps it going in a circle, round and around it goes. 28. There's Benjamin, the youngest, ruling now. The princes of Judah, their council. The princes of Zebulun, the princes of Naphtali. There's Benjamin, little Benji. It's the son of my right hand, the son of my strength, the son of my power, this one that I use. The youngest, ruling now. He's the youngest. He's just come up. He's the newest one of them all. These are the princes of Judah. The princes are the rulers, those that look over the chiefs, we could call them, of Judah. Those are praisings and their counsel, their advice. What have they got to say? These princes of Zebulun, the chiefs, those ones over the exalted. That's who Zebulun is. Zebulun are the exalted. There's ones that are lifted up. The princes of Naphtali. The princes, those chieftains of the twistings. The twistings. But these twistings are for the strength. 29. Your God hath commanded your strength. Be strong. O God, you have worked for us. Your God has commanded your strength. Well, He's in charge of it. He's over it all. Be strong, O God, you have worked for us. God's done it. It's all the work of God. Who'd He do it for? He done it for us. Those that are righteous, those that are just. God says, I did it so you would know that I am God. I know they keep the law, and God did it so to confirm it, to kind of make it double up the evidence so we could have some understanding, so we could say, yes, Yeah, God did that. God's working for us. He always is. He's going before us. He He is going, and we're going to inherit that land. Out of your temple at Jerusalem, where the king shall bring presents unto you. And that's where he's working for us from. Out of that temple at Jerusalem, that temple, that's that place that belongs to God. That's the place that was created for his name, Hashem. It's at Jerusalem. And that's in that, once again, that place of peaceful teachings, those teachings of peace, where the king shall bring their presents unto who? Unto God Almighty. Because God has got everybody in their authority, we should say. Whatever authority you might have, God give it to you. But we'll find out you don't have no authority over anybody, just yourself. That's all the authority you have. 31. Rebuke the wild beast of the reeds, the multitude of the bulls, with the calves of the peoples, everyone submitting himself with pieces of silver. He has scattered the peoples that delight in war. Rebuke the wild beast. That wild beast, that's that one that rips, tears, got no understanding. Got no understanding of the reeds. This one of the reeds. What are these reeds? Well, these reeds represent the papyrus. They represent the paper, and a long time ago men held knowledge and wisdom and understanding over the heads of the ignorant. That's what we're talking about, these written laws, these written rules. They exalt themselves by these things. They're saying our understandings are greater than yours. You don't have a right to make a choice for yourself. You don't have no understanding. Well, we'll find out. God's brought their ignorance upon themselves. They're taken in their own understanding. No, you don't have a right to make a choice. God made your choice for you. But I still got mine. See, God still got my authority. My God give me my integrity. We should all just submit ourselves unto God with pieces of silver. And that's that which passed through the fire. See, you've been found in your ignorance. You've been found in your judgment, just like everybody else. You've made your mistakes. You've learned from them. These are the judgments you've suffered from God. God says, I've refined that. That's that silver. That's that silver. Give it to God. It belongs to God. God did that. He scatters out the peoples that delight in war. And what that means, he just scatters them out. They don't have no abilities no more. They delight in war. Well, God's going to take war away. Why do you make war? Because you want something somebody else has got. You're coveting your neighbor. You're violating the law. War. Don't let me digress. 32. Nobles shall come out of Egypt. Ethiopia shall hasten to stretch out her hands upon God. Nobles. Noble is somebody who is of nobility. This word here should be more like an ambassador. Somebody who's going to represent shall come out of Egypt. Representatives, we should say, are going to come out of Egypt. Egypt's that place of enclosures. I call it the place of pits, snares, traps, where they escaped that written rule and written ignorance of men from long ago. There's no great secrets here. Ethiopia, Cush, Ethiopia. It doesn't say Ethiopia here. It says Cush. Of course, they always translate that Ethiopia because, see, Cush means to be dark. And it's a similitude of those we can say of dark skin. But let's not use it like that. Let's use it to mean those of darkness. Shall hasten to stretch out her hands, her works. See, because they're going to find out. Everybody has some understanding when God's light comes through. And we'll find out they used to hurry to stretch out. It's only to prove God. It's to prove God. It's all a witness before God. God put you there. You're in your place. God did that. That's how God works. 33, sing unto God, you kingdoms of the earth. Sing praises unto the Lord. Selah. Sing unto God. Elohim, the Almighty God, who done these things. You kingdoms of the earth. You kingdoms, all you, even the kings and their dominions, that's the rulers and the people that they say are under them. I don't like that word, of the earth, because that's how men do things. Men always want to put somebody underneath them. They get somebody I can walk on. Even the earth, they're kind of using them like the earth, the ground, the flesh that they walk upon. These other kings. Sing praises unto God. 34, we'll find out when they don't, you don't rule in the understanding of God. When the kings, we always use them out like the rulers. They don't have to be a king. God all but done away with the kings. He's about had his belly full of them. Well, and we've got other representatives now that take up that position. It doesn't matter. Just as long as you're up there in that position, you'll ever be using God's understanding, His knowledge, and His wisdom, or you won't be there long. That example, we've got that just 1,000 times to prove it. I know I'm kind of rough on them, but hey, somebody's got to be rough on them because they won't make themselves accountable. 34, to him that rides upon the heavens and heavens, which are of old, lo, he utters his voice, a mighty voice. We're talking about God. That's who we're talking about, the one that rides, sits upon the heavens of heavens, all the understandings of understanding. See, nothing like your little brain contains, or my little brain even, my little understanding. Don't touch the knowledge of God. These things that are of old, lo, you better listen. He utters his voice, a mighty voice. God says, I've made example after example. There are those listening. God's starting to talk to those that just ain't listening too good. You think you can just run rampant upon the earth and do whatever you want, taking advantage of the poor, the weak, the sick. Sounds like Amalek kind of to me, but hey, that's my opinion. 35. Ascribe you strength unto God. His majesty is over Israel, and his strength is in the skies. Ascribe you strength unto God. That's who's got the strength. You don't have nothing. You're a man. And you're going to perish, die like the rest of them. But God's eternal. God's everlasting. And he said it in its balance, in its way from the beginning. He said, do good. But these are those that cause the people to suffer. His majesty is over Israel. God's power and God's strength is over Israel. That's those that contend. That's those that contend with God. We're talking about those that have been dispersed in all the earth. They want to always trying to. You can't run and hide from God. God sees you where you're at. You can have your ways, but you better make them just before the Lord. Because his strength's in the skies. His strength's in all things that are above us. All things that are over us. God has power. God's going to outlast you. God's going to outlast you. He's going to be there in the next generation when you're gone. When he's done decided what's going to happen to you, your generation, he's already working on the next. God's making way. God's making way. 36. Awful is God out of your holy places, the God of Israel. He gives strength and power unto the people. Blessed be God. Awful is God out of, this awful. Once again, I know it's the old word, and awful. To be referenced. To be referenced is what it should be. To be respected. God is to be respected. Out of your places you've sanctified, out of these places you've set aside. That God should be respected. His understanding, his knowledge, his wisdom. You should have some respect for God. It's not to be taken lightly. It's not to be cast down. It's not to be thrown to the side. He gives strength and power unto the people, and there's no other God that does it like him. His laws, his statutes, his ordinances that he created for us. What God has given such a righteous law to a nation like that? Why? God did it for your own good. God knew who you were. God said, this is what you're going to need to do. Let's give blessing to God. Blessed is God. He is the blessing. God is the blessing. God is the power. He's the strength that he gives us. It's the law. It's the ordinances of God that he gives us even from the beginning. We have to exalt God in all things, in his law, in his ordinances. And that's put God first. Put him first in your understanding when you say, oh, well, God's already protected me in that decision. And choose the right thing. Let's go forward to Psalms 69. Turn and return.